folks, welcome back into another episode of the Mark and Austin Show on the Mark and Lesko podcast. You hate to see a game where there was that many points scored and was that exciting and that many swings in momentum, etc., effectively get ended by the ref.
I remember when you did that interview, I think it was for the game against Georgia. They were asking you about your dad's play there in the national championship, and I think you said that he could have gotten more separation, but
there were some technique fundamentals of the receiver that weren't perfect in the 80s. I had to throw in a few points of critique there.
Yeah, man, he played for the Steelers and the Eagles both, so he was doing some things right for sure. Playing in the NFL. So
like the video if you like the video, ring the notification bells. Have a phenomenal weekend. As always, we'll catch you in the next one.
Lesley Timbol joins us once again for another episode of what I'm calling Muscle Radio right now. Don't have an official name yet. Like I said, I kind of did a little bit of a knockoff of Dave Palumbo's show, but I'm definitely not trying to take his name. So we'll come up with a show here soon. I called it Brain Games before, so I might have to go with that. But Lesley, welcome back in. It's good to have you back on.
Thanks for having me, Mark. And maybe the audience can actually give us some ideas for titles or what we should call this series.
Yeah, we had a nice comment last time from someone who listens to your RX show, and sounds like he's listening to us too here on my podcast. But it's I hope if you guys can, please drop some ideas below and ideas for topics too. We'd love to hear what you want to talk about. Lesley, today we're going to talk about, what would you call what my suggestion was for the topic? What would you call that? I guess gym attire today. In the gym.
It's kind of the tying the identity, and I'm going to kind of break this down in a little bit, but the overall thing is basically fitness influencers, however you want to define that, and how they kind of advertise themselves, so to speak, on social media. And I was thinking about talking about the pros and the cons of doing that kind of approach.
Okay. Yep. That works. Because I mentioned to you basically about the gym attire, and I'll just use like young women as an example. Some of the gym attire I see, and I'm just like, man, like they're not wearing much. And even when I was in college, I feel like it was different then. And that was, a few years ago. That's it. So it's really, I feel like, I don't know if it's like a movement and I feel like there's a lot more girls in the gym now than there used to be too. So I could be wrong about that, but what are your thoughts on this whole subject? I mean, what's the psychology, I guess, behind it all?
So I don't know if there's necessarily more women. There's probably more women now than there ever has been, because the women feel a little bit more safer and I don't mean that men were threatening or anything, but sometimes people, and this can happen to guys too, Mark, that if they're not, let's say, more fit, there's a feeling of shame being in the gym because they feel that other people are going to be staring at them or judging them. And I'm not saying that happens, but it's that whole fear of, people are going to see me and they're going to judge me. And again, it's a perception thing. So, now that more people are like, it doesn't matter. You can be in any shape and size. Now, maybe it depends on the gym, but all the gyms I've been at, you get your top athletes, whether they're bodybuilders or a different sport, to like, soccer moms or, it's like, it can be such a range of people, and people are being a bit more, accepting of that. And they're not having those negative reactions of being judgment that, you have to be a bodybuilder to train here. Not at all. So I think that helps. But social media has actually brought people into the gym that may not have been in the gym otherwise, because they're trying to get themselves out there by posting content. So one of the ways they post content is they show themselves at the gym. Let's say they're showing how to do a squat or whatever exercise. And I don't have a problem with that. So the thing is, I don't want people to take away from this, Mark, that I think that, let's say, tripods are bad. But I do think there's a time and a place for it, and there's a way to do it. So especially if you have a busy gym, probably not the best time to do it. Find it, or even ask the people at the desk, when is it less time, busy time, so I can, do some recording. Now,
Yeah.
and then you don't want to take up like a bunch of machines, right? So, sometimes when people bring their tripods, they also bring like these big umbrellas with the lights and stuff, and it just takes up too much space. So, it becomes a culture of, I'm here, I'm important, you guys have to like take your turn, wait. And it's like, you know what? Everyone buys a membership. This is like whatever machine that you're on, it's not your machine. You can share it, absolutely. We can take turns or whatever, but it doesn't belong to you. And especially if they hog an area, like sometimes it's not even just one machine.
Mm-hmm.
But with the onslaught of the social media, people are becoming these, what do they call them? These content creators now.
Yeah.
So, no matter what your job is, you might have like whatever your day job is, plus be a content creator. And there's people who can make money just being a content creator, 24/7, basically. They put content, let's say, every day. Okay.
Right.
But the problem is when it comes to the gym culture, there's that, and again, I'm not saying everyone who has a tripod does this, because sometimes you might need to show an exercise to your, let's say, your trainer, your coach. Am I squatting properly? Or your physiotherapist to saying, okay, let's see your technique. That's different, but we're talking about people who put stuff on their, let's say, Instagram or Facebook or whatever social media platform they use to, develop a following. There's good and bad about that. So let's talk about some of the pros, and I'm going to get to the attire in a minute because I think that's really important.
Yeah.
But some people might think, well, is it a bad thing or is it a good thing? And then again, it comes around to, well, it depends. So let's say one of the pros is you can get increased attention. So if you're trying to build a brand, you might be a coach, let's say, trying to get clientele.
Mm-hmm.
You want to show people what you're, the kind of style maybe that you do for coaching, or give some free tips. You're trying to build your brand and get your name out there. So in that respect, it's good because you get to access more people, because we used to have coaches where they would be in our gym. Now there's online coaching, or that would supplement what you have with your coach at the gym. So you can access more people, build more business. So it's a win-win, because there's sometimes people, and I don't know if you're in this situation, Mark, but sometimes not all gyms are created equal. As far as the equipment or even the coaches. You can have a really good gym, but let's say there's not really any good coaches, so you don't have to necessarily travel X number of hours to be able to be with a good coach. You can have one online.
Yeah.
So in that respect, to again build your brand, I think that's a really good thing. Now, it can also do, let's say, another pro for doing stuff online is it can inspire people. It can motivate people, give them, let's say, different exercises, or let's say they say, hey, if you've got an injury, look, it doesn't mean you can't work other body parts. Or, maybe if they know what they're talking about, alternatives to, if they have an injury, maybe not do this exercise, do this exercise instead.
Yeah.
So it's kind of inspiring, and especially when you get people who are not genetically gifted. Personally, I love that, not just because I'm not genetically gifted, because that can speak to everybody. If you like, and I like Lee Priest. Lee Priest is a genetic freak, and I mean that in the most complimentary way.
Yeah.
But if he does a bicep exercise, to me, it could be a great exercise. But because he naturally has great biceps, not to say he doesn't train them anyway, I would rather talk to someone who, let's say, that soccer mom, who maybe she's never played soccer, but her kids do, but she's learned how to build up her biceps. Oh, how did you do it? How does someone who doesn't, who struggles with, let's say, and I'm not saying huge biceps like Lee Priest, but, building biceps, it could be very inspirational to say, hey, these are some methods that I tried, as well as maybe helping other mothers say, let's go to the gym.
Yeah.
So, and then this other thing is confidence and body positivity. So when we start getting in shape, we feel better about ourselves. I think that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then having confidence. Let's say there's a pair of pants or a shirt or whatever that you haven't worn in a while, and all of a sudden you can wear it and it looks good. You know, and that, I think, this is really positive. So again, it's not all negative, because it can be helpful for people, like I said, to build their brand, to develop the confidence, to inspire and motivate other people. Because a lot of times people are trying to say, hey, can I relate to that person? And if I can, what did they do that worked that maybe it might work for me? Let's say building calves. If someone's not genetically gifted on building calves and you're like, hey, this is how I built my calves, I'm going to pay attention to that. At least it's something I can try. So that's why I'm saying it can be positive. And again, I'm going to come to the attire in a second, but I just kind of want to talk about overall, as far as doing the social media piece. But did you have anything to add to that as far as any positives that you have come across in the gym when it comes to people posting, or those fitness influencers?
Oh man. Well, the thing that one guy I can think of is the guy, his name was Pat. He was on Ellen DeGeneres, lost a ton of weight. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I don't know him, no.
I believe his name was Pat. He was on Ellen DeGeneres, but he was like 400 pounds or something like that, and then he lost a ton of weight. So that's one example I could think of that's like actually like a good fitness influencer, because he's basically a bodybuilder now, and I'm pretty sure he did a bodybuilding show. Like that's how much of a drastic transformation he made. But honestly, I just never know if they're genuine. And I don't spend a ton of time on social media, but I do. I like right now I'm an ambassador for Raw, so pretty much just do it for that. And then I post my podcast on there too. So I'm not on there a lot, but when I am on the search page, it's never anything really like that I find very motivating. I mean, uh, so I guess the answer is not really. I mean, I don't really see many positive things because like most influencers, I feel like I see I can tell they're just like not really genuine about it. They just seem to be in it for money. I think Joey Swoll is a good example of someone who actually helps people. Dave obviously is Dave Palumbo. So I guess those guys, but yeah, other than that, not really. I mean, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, there are, the thing is that they exist, but could there
Yeah.
be more? Yes. Are there more? I find, like you, that there's more fitness influencers that are literally influencers and not so much into fitness.
Right.
So what I mean by that is they go to the gym, they film whatever exercise they're going to do, and then they leave the gym. It's not like they do a workout and they're only they're only filming,
Yeah.
let's say, the last set or the first set. They literally just go to the gym to film and put it on the gram, basically.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why they're in the gym. Now that I don't like, because again, it feels like it's false advertising. It's giving people the perception that they can look like that, whatever they're presenting, and that they have perfect form, which actually they don't always have perfect form,
Yeah.
and so I feel bad for the general audience who doesn't know better, and they're looking at people saying, well, how do I do better? And some people represent the sport much better than others. So I understand why there can be some confusion, but there are some people that are doing well, but it's hard to know. If you're not in the industry, it's hard to know who are and I put this in air quotes, the good ones versus the not so good ones. So some of the cons as far as these fitness influencers is, when we get back to the sexualized piece, is the object, being an object, being treated or seen as an object. So you might go in there, So I'm going to pick on girls, and I'm not saying it just happens to girls, but I'm going to pick on girls for a second. So you might look really good and really cute in that outfit, but if you're doing like short shorts, low top, and you're doing, let's say, you know, you're doing like deadlifts, that's not exactly what you want to put out there.
Yeah, I
Because
just
what
saw
you,
one like that, Lesley. Not to cut you off, but I just saw one like that. Literally, she has like I don't even know how I don't know how it's allowed in the gym. Like that's how her like whole ass is like out. And I'm like, I can't believe that. And she's doing deadlifts and
yes,
she's basically naked. And I'm just like, how I don't know what gym is she going to,
it's unfortunate that, see, here's the thing, the gym owners are in a tricky position because if they say, hey, look, we have a dress code, which
Yeah.
frankly, I don't think is necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
Then women, and I can go on a little tangent on the new feminized women these days. But to get back on topic, I mean, we can go back there, but they can make a big fuss saying, I have a right to, I pay a membership and I'm just training and all this other stuff. And it's like, it's a tricky rope. So I feel bad for gym owners, and girls are almost falling out of their tops.
Yeah.
I mean, like, really?
Yeah.
Like, this is not a nightclub. You're here to train, So it's kind of people go to the gym for different reasons. So again, I'm not saying you have to be a bodybuilder, but even if you just want to take care of your fitness, again, the idea is to work on your body, not necessarily to get attention. So it's kind of like, do you get attention as a result of looking good? That's different. But if you're
Yeah.
going there strictly to get eyeballs, to me, that's not authentic. And it
Yeah.
can be very obvious.
Right. Yeah.
So the problem is that when people use their sexual appeal, then all of a sudden they're not seen in a serious manner. They're seen as, objects, whether they intend to or not. And so instead of so basically anyone who's watching their content, and they might have good content, Marks, but when people are watching their content, then the viewers end up focusing more on their physical appearance rather than their knowledge. So again, they could be spouting out some really good tips, but all they can see is the, ass coming out, or the, like, it's just, you have to present it in a way where, people are going to take you seriously. Now, I'm not saying you have to go in like a, like a nun or be a mummy,
Right.
there's a reasonable amount where, yes, you can show some skin, but let's be reasonable about this. So if you want to be taken seriously, and if you're sexualizing yourself, your content is not going to be taken seriously, which is
No,
unfortunate, because like I said, it might be really solid content.
I don't
I'm
take it
sure you see it
seriously.
all the time.
Yeah, I don't take it seriously. And like you just said, what I see a lot is like inspirational like quotes and captions, and it's a picture and they're standing in front of like a squat rack or whatever, and it's just their ass. And they're wearing super tight shorts, and I'm just thinking, what does this have to do with what you're talking about? It has nothing to do with what you're talking about. And yeah, so just
Well,
kind of
to
go
your point, it's an excuse. Whatever the code is about, like you said, has nothing to do with deadlifting or what, it's just an excuse to post a sexy picture to get likes, followers. And sometimes people get their self-esteem from how many people are commenting or liking their post and all that stuff. That's also an unhealthy road to go down too. But the thing is, what they may not realize is that they're undermining their credibility by doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So basically, people are just seeing them as mere objects. Now, maybe they want that. There are girls out there that want that. They're going under the I have low self-esteem. I need this positive feedback from males or whatever. And that's really unfortunate, because again, they're trained for the wrong reasons. It's great that they're in the gym, but again, it's for the wrong reasons. There's also the piece about unhealthy comparisons. So let's say And again, I'm not saying this doesn't happen to men. I'm just picking on the women. And I like women, but it's easy to pick on them,
Well,
especially
I'm a red-blooded American male. I love women too. So, it's like it's disappointing sometimes when I'm like, man,
because sometimes they do, like, some of them is just fluff. You can just see it's fluff, but some of it is actually good material. But again, it's how they're presenting it with the sex. I understand sex sales, but you can overly do it. And the problem is with the sexualized imagery is that it can create these unrealistic beauty standards.
Oh yeah.
And this is assuming there's no filters. But tell me, like, I don't know how to do filters because I'm just not tech savvy, but that's just not me anyway. But there are so many people who use filters. So if you get a female and they're looking on social media, whatever that platform is, and they're saying, wow, she's my age and I look nothing like her. Of course you look nothing like her. She doesn't even look like her.
Yeah.
Because of these filters. Or maybe again, you can angle it. The lighting can make you, there's different things that can be done to make you look better than you do. But again, it comes to presenting an unrealistic expectation that you can get that. And you may not be able to, but can you be okay with that? And obviously this happens with men too, where they might be comparing themselves, whether it's, the big quads, the big chest, the delts, all that kind of stuff. But so that it's an unhealthy comparison. And the problem is that then the viewers might feel inadequate. Why bother going to the gym? I'll never look like that. So in essence, it's almost, like I said, false advertising, which is not just bad for the person who's the influencer, because they're not taken seriously, but it's hard on the audience. I'm not saying all the audience, but there's some, a lot of people that are not where they want to be fitness wise, and they can feel bad about that and a lot of shame. Also, when you talk about fitness, we have fitness goals. When they sexualize it on media, there's almost this misalignment then all of a sudden with the goals, because they're placing this excessive emphasis on the sex appeal, and that might overshadow the actual fitness goals.
Yeah.
And the message of the influencer, like I said, no one's going to be taking them as seriously as they may want to be.
No.
So the other piece is that when you want to build a brand, you want to be known as something, and obviously something respectfully. If you over sexualize yourself, you'll have attention for sure. But after a period of time, whatever your number of followers will be, yes, it'll grow in the beginning, but eventually people will get tired of it and they'll start getting a little bit lower. It doesn't mean you'll never have followers, because you always have followers. But if the idea is to get certain content to help out people, viewers are going to go to other people.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you have a limited longevity basically in social media when you sexualize yourself.
Yeah.
Does that make sense though?
Yeah. So basically what I've noticed, just to kind of go off what you're saying, is, I see, and I've said this to Robbie on other episodes, but when I'm in the gym, I'm always very focused. But you do see other people. It's kind of impossible not to see other people. So one thing I notice is I'll see girls and like they look fit. Most of the time when they get closer to you, you realize, oh, they're really not that fit. They're just wearing, like, it's their attire that they have on. So they're wearing very little, and yeah, they're probably working out, most of them. But and I notice that they're not wearing a lot of clothing, and I find that unattractive. I like girls who are modest about the way they dress, like wearing a t-shirt and just whatever, regular girl shorts, whatever you would call those. Any girl I've dated, that's most of them I've met in the gym. That's how when I first met them, that's what they were wearing. And I knew they were fit. or athletic, or some of them were D1 athletes. So, and then I also noticed that a lot of the attention that they get when they're dressed like that is from creepy old men. Like they're like staring at them. I just saw it yesterday. I was in the gym. There's a girl. She's right across from me. She's doing a lying leg curl, wearing very little. One of these older guys in there walks by and like just goes behind the squat rack, acting like he's looking over the railing, and he's just staring at her ass. I'm just like, first of all, that's creepy. Second of all, that's what you do when you're dressed like that. You know, you're going to get the attention that you don't want. And I don't know this girl. I would assume she doesn't want some older guy staring at her while she's working out. But, you know, it's just a couple things I've noticed when I'm in the gym.
And this will be in any gym, but now you just talked about some old creepy guys. But here's the other thing. What about the really young ones? Now, I'm glad there's younger people in the gym, and they're starting to take their fitness earlier. So I'm happy about that. But what kind of example does that teach the younger, generation as far as working out, as far as examples? Well, you get, let's say, young girls or young boys, and because I've seen some guys wear some questionable attire as well. More often it's women, for sure, 100%. But it's kind of it's a bad role model, basically, saying this is what you need to do for you to look good, for you to work out. You have to look like this in the gym. No, so like I said, it's not a good example when you want to take things seriously. Again, if you want to be proud of your body, awesome, but dress appropriately, especially on leg day. Like if you want to wear shorts to see your quads, your hamstrings, that's fine, but they don't have to be like short. To me, it's more uncomfortable to wear shorts. Like if anything, I'll wear like capris or long pants. Like it's just easier to like bend, and I don't have to worry about anything. So, or long shorts is fine. That's fine too. But shorts out. First of all, I don't know how comfortable that would be. First of all,
and I'll say this too. If you're a girl and someone, especially someone like me who's been in the gym for 11, 12 years, if you have an ass, you know you have an ass. You could be wearing whatever you want. You know that you have. We know whether you have one or not. Doesn't matter if you're wearing tight shorts, sweatpants. It doesn't matter. We know. Trust me. So you don't have to wear tight shorts. You can just wear sweatpants. It's all the same, in my opinion. So.
And you know what, Mark? You see, I don't know if you know him by a scrunchie, but there are these pants that scrunch into your crack of your butt.
Oh yeah, I've seen them.
That accentuate it, which I'm like, why would you accentuate that? But anyway, okay, teach his own.
Yeah, Dave was just talking about that on RX Muscle. So.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah, they did a close up on that, on the. I forget what they're on After Hours. They were talking about it, but they did a close up on the scrunchy thing that you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, it's in every gym. At some point in time in the day, there's at least a few. And it's not just the scrunchy butt, there's a whole bunch of other varieties. But it's people going into the gym and they're making themselves look bad because the gym, again, I'm not saying don't be ashamed of your body. That's not what I mean, but there's a level of appropriateness. And frankly, it's respect to the fellow people in the gym too.
Yeah.
But if you make it all about you, and I don't mean you specifically, Mark, but I'm just saying the fitness influencer.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they're not even fitness influencers, they're just regular people going to the gym. Again, you're building a reputation. And a lot of part of it is what you say, for sure, but some part of it is how you look. And I'm not saying you have to like dress to the nines, or some people do, like for women, some people put on makeup and do their hair and all that stuff. If you want to do that, that's okay, but you don't have to. I mean, I just throw my hair in a ponytail. I don't bother wearing makeup.
You're gonna sweat it out. You're gonna sweat off all that makeup. I don't know why girls wear a ton of makeup. I've seen it where girls are wearing so much makeup, and I'm like, you're in the gym. You're gonna sweat that right out. It's not going to
But
look
the
good.
thing is, they don't train. If you've ever watched them, not
Yeah,
all of them, but most of them don't train hard.
No.
So that's why they don't build up a sweat. So,
So
like I said, it's like the
exactly,
nightclub.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
nightclub where I'll dance a little bit, look at what I look like, I'm gonna shake my little booty or
Yep.
whatever, get attention. And again, is that what you have to do to get attention? Then I'm really concerned about your level of self-esteem. And there's other things that you can do. But again, making yourself a sex object and that obvious is not healthy, put it that way.
So basically the answer, like the girl, like I said, these girls I see in the gym who are wearing very little clothing and it's really tight. They're like $100 outfits that they're wearing. So to cap it off, why are they dressed like that? And I've heard this too. Not to stack questions on you, Lesley, but I'm wearing this for myself. Like I'm wearing this because I like it. You know, I've heard that.
I look good in it. Yeah.
And I've also heard this too. Well, you're wearing a tank. What's the difference? I'm like, well, I think the only way to sexualize a man in the gym is to take his shirt off. That's about it, in my opinion. I mean, I don't think a tank is.
A tank is not the same thing.
Yeah, especially if you're a big guy. You're like, I wear tanks all the time. They're comfortable. That's why I wear them. You know,
there's nothing wrong with tanks. I mean, even stringers.
Right,
because
stringers.
Again, guys, it's different for a guy than a female because females have breasts. It's a little different. Guys can walk around, not necessarily in the gym per se, but they can walk around in the normal world without a shirt, and that's okay. Women would not. So to me, that's a line of BS that they're using to justify their reasons for doing that. So, and then there's the other piece. There are some, and I'm going to the new age feminist angle, where it's the I'm perfect, love your body, no matter what it looks like, and if someone stares at me at the gym, I can't wait. It's almost like, I don't know if you've seen this, but they'll have a girlfriend secretly filming them, let's say doing a deadlift or a squat or something, and then a guy rushes over because they're having problems with the weight just to help out, and then they spaz out on them. I can do this on my own, and all this kind of and I'm all for women being strong, but they're setting up the men, and I'm not saying all women, again, I'm just kind of picking on these particular women who happen to have skimpy outfits, by the way, that they railroad these guys in, and heaven forbid a guy happened to glance, oh, you're perfect. It's kind of like the poor guy.
Yeah, how do you
look?
Yeah, just nature. I couldn't help but notice this girl in front of me yesterday. I'm like, what are you wearing? What are you wearing? Now,
yeah.
Maybe I guess that's what she wants. Other guys, I'm sure, were definitely looking at her. But I'm just like, what are you wearing? Like, she was right in front of me. I'm like, what are you wearing? Honestly, I don't know. That's just I guess I'm old school.
No, you're not, Mark. I mean, there's going to be guys that love that, okay, for sure. Yeah. And then this is the other thing. And I don't know if this happened and she was in front of you before, but I'll see a girl go in front of a guy who's training, minding his own business, doing his own thing. She specifically goes in front of him and does some type of provocative move in an exercise, whatever that might be. And I'm like, whoa, honey.
Yeah.
If you want to build your self-esteem and build muscles or tone or whatever, great. But don't make it doesn't have to, if you're building your self-esteem through sexualizing yourself, if that's your brand, you're cheapening your brand. You can do much better than that.
So, like I had stated before, and I stacked questions on you, but to cap it off, why do they dress like that? Just to, in your opinion, in your professional opinion.
From a psychological standpoint, these girls have low self-esteem. And instead of building their self-esteem with the proper stable confidence, where it's the, no matter if they go in the gym, people look at them or not, they still feel good about themselves, versus I have to go to the gym to get eyeballs, to show myself, my sexy stuff, and get posts and likes and followers. They get their self-esteem from external sources. And there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, someone complimented me, I feel good about that, or I did do a progress photo and I got some good feedback. That's okay, because they have intrinsic as well as extrinsic, validation. So, but what I mean by that is extrinsic is outside of you, other people. Intrinsic is within. So for them, they feel good about themselves only when they get that validation, those looks from other people, or give them an excuse to tape a guy who's helping them out, and then they basically yell at them. You can get, poor guys are trying to be gentlemen, and let's say open the door for a female. And I've seen this. I don't know if you've seen this, Mark. I've seen this. He's just being polite. He's opening the door. I can do that myself. I'm like, whoa. He was just opening up a door. He wasn't insulting your strength, So poor guys, Mark, I feel bad for guys. And, I would love to do like a workshop for guys on how to handle these women, because you're trying to be a gentleman, you're trying to be respectful, and you're getting your head bitten off from it. So it's no wonder guys are starting to say, okay, I'm not going to open the door. I'm not going to open the door of a car. I don't want my head bit off, So it's crazy. But these women, again, I'm not saying all women. I'm saying there's this pocket of women who tend to be a bit too high on themselves, but it's also false confidence when Mark, because it comes across really false, because they have to get this attention by really dressing like that, where they're falling out of their clothes basically in one respect or the other. It, again, is not appropriate. If they want, yeah. So the thing is that when women dress really scantily like that, it's because they're looking for that attention. So yeah, some of them are legit as far as working out, but they're getting more from the workout as far as the eyeballs than the actual training. Because think about it, when you train, I know when I train, I'm sure you're the same way. I'm so focused on the muscle, that mind, what we call the mind muscle connection, which for people who aren't familiar with what I'm talking about, it's when you're working a particular muscle group, as you're doing the movement, it's not just counting up. Let's say you're doing 10 reps, or you're trying to aim for 10 reps. It's not that you're just aiming and you're just thinking about counting from 1 to 10 as far as the number of reps you do in that particular exercise. It's, are you feeling the muscle elongate and really contracting it with every movement? That means you're not focusing on anything else.
Yeah.
These women will do the movement, but you'll see them looking around. Who's watching me as I'm doing this? And it's like, well, are you really focusing on the mind muscle connection? Probably not. And here's the thing, when you're not focusing, you're losing out on muscle gains, because it becomes half the effort. So going through the same movement, and you're only getting half the results because you're looking around. Again, to me, that's not serious. And when I say serious, I don't mean to tell the viewers again that they have to be bodybuilders, but if the idea of going to the gym is to be fit, whether it's putting on lean muscle tissue, whether it's just being more conditioned, whether it means just being healthier overall, you're losing out on all the benefits of training properly. But if you're going in with the agenda of, yes, I'm going to work out, but I want to get as much attention as I can, again, that's a self-esteem issue. So what you were saying earlier, Mark, to saying a lot of girls, and I've heard this myself, by the way, too, well, I look good in this and I feel good. I want to feel good when I go to the gym. Okay. I want to feel good when I go to the gym, but I'm not going to feel good if I can't focus on what I'm doing, because I'm worried about what's going to be happening when I train and people are around me. So it's you can feel good, But the idea is not feeling good by what you wear per se. I mean, I'll say right now, I'm very guilty of this. Every day that I do a particular training session, I have a particular outfit, but it's not provocative. It's color coordinated, but it's not provocative. So on leg day, literally, I did legs today. I wear this disrupt shirt. So it's not super low. I don't know if people can see this. I'm
Yeah,
wearing
show us
these,
your
like,
outfit. Yep.
like I'm wearing
There
like
you go.
capris. So it's not provocative, but I feel good in it because it's comfortable. I can move. I don't have to worry about anything because, again, I want to focus on training versus what might people see if there was an accident of some sort. If I did a particular, moving around, I don't have to worry about that. I don't want to have to worry about that, and you'll get more. Here's the thing. If you want to get respect from people, kick ass in the gym. Transform yourself, like be diligent about your workouts. You don't have to lift heavy. You can lift super smart by doing different kind of mechanisms, whether it be I don't know if I was telling you this before, Mark, where on leg presses I would do like a 5 second. So let's say if you're on the leg press with your feet on the pad, do 5 seconds pushing up, 5 seconds pushing down. And if you want to make it harder, rest for hold it. Don't let it go all the way down. Hold it for like a second or two and then go back up again slowly and down slowly. You don't even need weights on the sides of the platform. So you can definitely do good, solid training with good mind muscle connection with very low weights and get great results by focusing. And you'll feel good about yourself. You're gonna have more energy. Your body will look a little bit different. And again, you don't have to be a bodybuilder. This is not necessarily, I know sometimes women are like, I'm afraid to put on too much weight. I don't want to be too muscular. Honey, unless you're genetically gifted, it's bloody hard. I've been trying for years and years to put on muscle.
Yeah.
And I'm no big freak, like I'm not, it's just, I try to get big and I can't. So again, unless you're super genetically gifted, you're not going to be big just by going to the gym. Trust me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's more for the attention. And again, I'm not against people saying, hey, I want to look good, but there's a line of different levels of looking good and what's appropriate given the situation. If you want to wear that, let's say like a mini skirt and a sexy top when you're going out with your girls, you're going to a club, okay, that makes sense because you're dressing according to the environment. The dressing to the environment in a gym situation, you're doing yourself a disservice because you're being objectified rather than taken seriously. And that people see you for one reason and one reason only. It's not your personality, honey. In those kind of situations.
Yeah.
You can definitely get self-respect and other respect in more dignified ways. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely, Lesley. Yeah, that 100% answers the question. So, two last questions. So for guys that take the gym seriously, and I'm not including myself in this particular situation right now, but at this particular moment, but for guys that are looking for a good girl that, a lot of guys, so someone like me, I don't go out a lot, go to the gym, go to work, hang out with family, friends, stuff like that, but I don't really go to clubs. I don't really drink alcohol. So most of the people I see are in the gym. So how does a guy find a good girl in the gym, especially with all of this toxicity, I'll call it today, that we just talked about? I mean, how do you do that? Can you answer that question for the guys listening right now?
Yes. And let's assume they have a similar lifestyle, that they don't go to bars or other things like that. Their life is basically home, family, friends, work, and the gym. So they don't have the opportunity to meet people other ways. It doesn't mean you can't meet a female at the gym, But would I recommend you hook up with those? I mean, it depends. If you want an overnight stand, I would say yes. You know, make sure you don't get any kind of sexually transmitted diseases, because you never know these girls. But I mean, if you want a good, you know, female with a, you know, their head on their shoulders, and they're not going to be extremist kind of thing in those feminist kind of ways, part of it is look at how they dress.
Yeah.
You know, if they dress more, and I'm not saying they have to have clothes up to their neck or anything like that, but if they dress decently, that's a good sign. It doesn't mean they're guaranteed yes. And see how they carry themselves, or see how they interact. Have you ever made eye contact? Because when I call them the regulars, the people who go on the gym the same times as you can see like the same kind of people. Is there a female that, you know, you can nod? Because I end up nodding to everybody that I see in the gym, you know, just acknowledge, you know, say hi kind of thing. You'll know some females that they have their head down, they have their headphones in, and they avoid eye contact. You may not want to approach those, because they might, so keep in mind, they could be the nicest people in the world, but maybe they're getting ready for a show. Because I'm telling you right now, when I have my carbs cut and I'm close to a show, I'm not very talkative because I don't have the energy. Not because I'm not willing to talk to people afterwards. People usually know, you know, because I'm not like that all the time. I'm only when I'm getting close to a show am I like that. But the other piece is that let's say they're there on their lunch hour. They might have 1 hour, that's it, to train. So they want to get as much from the workout as they can before they have to go to the gym. I'm just using that as an example. So you be careful you don't judge those girls, but you're going to see girls. And again, if you go at a time and you're like, everyone seems to be the same, that might mean that in order to access other types of females, you might need to try another time. And if you're like, Lesley, I don't have time. Like, my job is from this time to this time. The only time I can go to the gym is this small little window. Okay. What about the weekends? If you have a Monday to Friday job, as an example, you might be very restricted on the time that you can go to the gym because of work reasons. I get that. Assuming you don't work on the weekends, you might try a different time slot on the weekend just to see. Then you get access to different types of females to try that out. Now, for those who are working weekends, there might be a day during the week that they might have a bit more flexibility what time they can go. Okay, again, even if it's once a week, try a different time slot. But yeah, you know, as far as what they're wearing, that's part of it. How they carry themselves. How do they treat other people in the gym?
Yeah.
You know, are they the kind of girl, even if they're a little bit more conservative, you know, being very short or very kind of, for lack of a better word, bitchy to other people who approach them? Or are they interactive and it looks like, you know, they're smiling and they're able to have a conversation with someone? So it's kind of like that. And then it might be, well, how do I approach these girls? Let's say I see these girls. How do I even approach them? Because I'm afraid what happens if they're one of those and I don't want to, you know, get like a lawsuit against me for looking at them, you know, because some girls are extreme, even though they may not look it. So it's start with a smile. You know, you don't have to be creepy about it. You start with a smile, just kind of acknowledge, hey. And after a period of time, if you see them over a period of time, same day, same time, you can just say, how's your workout going? Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Or, hey, what are you training today? You know, again, these are surface level questions guys can ask. So, you know, and the thing is that you'll tell also by her response if she's interested in you. Because here's the guy. The guy might be saying, I'm interested in her. I don't know if she would find me attractive. So in that case, to say, how do you know? See if she helps carry the conversation. So as an example, the guy comes up to me and says, what are you training? Oh, I was training, let's say, hamstrings and glutes today. What are you training? Okay, I just asked you a question. I'm willing to continue the conversation. That's a start. So, I mean, it's kind of picking up on certain cues. But if you have an audience of guys, Mark, that want to ask other questions, or even come on the podcast, like let me know, and then I can kind of go into more specifics, because I'm just talking about very generalistic situations. But yeah, I'm happy to go more specific if you have more specific scenarios in mind.
Yeah, I think that would be a good option. If we even had some people come on here, we could even make it like a dating type ask Q&A. But I guess the better question is, Lesley, is for people who are so dedicated to the gym that don't really go out, where is the best place to meet a significant other? I mean, it goes both ways. It's men and women. There's women, um, just using your gym example, that are dedicated to the gym like you. Um, you know, what's the best place for them to meet people? What do you think about that? Because it
In
can get
the
lonely,
yeah,
obviously, you know? I mean, I've lived it too.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Ideally, you want to meet someone organically. So what I mean by that is that it's you happen to be at the same place as they do, and you strike up a conversation, versus going to someone in the street you don't know and just asking them suddenly, which would freak someone out anyway. So the gym, that's why I'm saying the gym organically can be one option. Another is, be open around when you do grocery shopping. It has happened. You can be in the vegetable section, say, oh man, these potatoes will look a little bit, or these strawberries look a little well done, and someone else might say, yeah, they were better last week, and that might be it. But if you still see that same person, let's say the following week, or in the future, and you keep running into each other, you don't know. Keep your options open. And here's the other thing: what about hobbies outside of the gym? What do you do? Some people might go bike riding, some people might go hiking, um, they might do a completely different sport, but whatever it is, think about how you can take that hobby and be in a group. So if you're someone who likes to go for a bike ride, join a club. And I'm not saying it has to be necessarily a cycling club where they're super serious, but just people who are interested, and sometimes websites, your local websites will have, community, whether it be like, even let's say once a week on a Sunday at 9 a.m. this group gets together from this location that might be close to you, and you go for a bike ride. So by definition, organically, you're going to meet people who are also signed up for biking. Now I'm just using going for a bike ride as an example, but it could be anything, to saying, can I participate something, or volunteer, or whatever. What other activities are you doing where you're meeting other people? Or potentially you could sign up for a workshop that, let's say, is only a weekend. Okay, you're going to meet people there. But it's kind of that's not why you sign up for the workshop. Here's the thing: by becoming better, I don't know if you know who Jordan Peterson is, but by working on yourself, by being a better person. This isn't just going to guys, this has to do with girls. Everyone's got to kind of up their game by improving ourselves, such as taking a course. And I'm not saying necessarily go to school. It could be, like I said, a one weekend workshop. You want to learn something, a little kind of an extra skill or something? Cool. Anyone else who signs up for that course organically, you could potentially meet them, and maybe something happens. You don't know. Or you meet someone and it's not so much them, but maybe they have a friend. Maybe they have a brother or sister. Like, you don't know. It's called networking. That's not why you do it. You do it to make yourself a better person. And as an offshoot, basically, a nice side effect is you might connect with somebody. So that's another option apart from the gym.
Well, you're a bodybuilder too, so you've certainly been around people who that's all they do is go to the gym, and it's like, where do I meet people? You know what I mean? I mean, you've been around everyone. I mean, you went to Dragon's Lair, you knew Flex Lewis, and how many people were you around there that were like professional, and some of them are probably famous, and that's the life they live, and they have like 1 million followers on Instagram, like they probably, have you met people like that live like that too, and they just, you would think they would probably have all these women knocking their door down, but they don't. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, whether it be Dragon Slayer, I was also at Fit Club. It doesn't matter what gym you go to. And here's the other thing. If let's say you don't have hobbies or you're a little hesitant to do that. If you're whether you're a bodybuilder or you just like to go to the gym, another way you can meet people organically is go to a bodybuilding show. So even if you're in the audience, guess who's sitting beside you? Someone who's interested in the
Yeah.
show. Now they might be now if they're with their boyfriend, probably not a good idea to kind of connect with them. But
Yeah.
you just get talking. Again, let's say you're interested in her, but she's got a boyfriend. Maybe she's got a sister. Maybe she's got a friend. You don't know. This is part of that networking. Because when you're sitting waiting or you're talking about, oh, he looks good or she looks good, that gives you almost an excuse to have a conversation where it won't be kind of freaky to kind of talk to them because you're all seeing the same thing as far as the show. Or let's say, oh, who are you here to see, or who are you supporting, what category are they in? That's a great way to be able to meet people. Now again, whether something comes out of it or not, who knows, but you get an avenue of meeting people in who are like-minded. And again, they don't have to be bodybuilders, but again, they could be family members. They could have their a sibling or their son or daughter in the show, or a parent in the show. You never know. And you say, hey, I'm here to support so and so, and you clap for them when you say, hey, let me know when they're on. There's that sense of community and support, and you build that rapport. Part of the hardest part is developing rapport with people, because you don't want to come across as a creep, right? But and that you want to be in an environment where that's okay. When you're in a bodybuilding show in the audience, it's definitely okay to talk to people. So
Absolutely.
that's another one.
Yeah. That's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea. So, I mean, if you're already into fitness, you may as well either do a show or go to one.
Yeah. And then you're also supporting obviously the sport, and who knows, maybe it'll actually motivate you or inspire you to say, hey, maybe I'll try. Because there's divisions now. I don't know if they have this in the States, but they have this in Canada, and it's called novice. So it's basically people who've never competed before, and they may never compete again, but think of it almost like a transformation contest.
Yeah.
They just want to see how far they can take it. And then, depending on how they do, even if let's say they win their novice category, then they might think, hey, maybe I'm going to try one of the shows. It's kind of a test ground, if you will. And then for others, it might be, no, I just want to see how I do. I want to show my accomplishments on stage, but no, I don't want to compete. That's okay too. So there's different avenues, but yeah, it's and here's the thing. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but every time I go to a bodybuilding show, my workouts the following weeks are much better, because I feel so motivated when I see these people. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm just going to hit it so hard at the gym next time. So I get super motivated after going to a show.
Yeah. Well, Arnold Classic, I'm always like really motivated after I go to that. But I've never really been to a bodybuilding show.
Okay.
For someone who's been into bodybuilding for so many years, I've never even really been to a show. I prepped for one. I wasn't able to do it ultimately, but it was a physique show at that time. But yeah, I've never really even really been to a show except for the Arnold Classic. And absolutely, every time I leave there, I'm just like, man, so motivated. But here's the thing. I don't lose that motivation anyway. So, you know what I mean? It's like I'm just even more motivated. Um, I'm coming from the Arnold Classic every time I lift, you know what I mean? So, because I'm always motivated. But yeah, Lesley, I think that pretty much covers everything, that pretty much covers everything related to that topic. I mean, I hope people watching this, particularly guys, can get some knowledge out of this, because it's not just meeting people, but if you've good head on your shoulders, and yeah, obviously you're still a guy, and like you like the way these girls dress is like, yeah, I mean, it's attractive, but like it's they look attractive, but it's not attractive in the sense that, like, by nature as a mate, like that's not attractive. I don't find it attractive. I mean, obviously you're like well, that girl's very attractive, but she's not attractive as a girlfriend, if that makes sense. And it's like you don't respect them. You don't respect them. And that's just I I've just seen it so much. And I am like in a college town, so I see it even more. For those of you who aren't in college towns, trust me, it happens way more here than it does probably at wherever gym you're at, because it's a majority college girls. And man, it's like a zoo. It really is. And then the guys too. It's like a zoo. It's like Animal Planet. You're just like watching it all. You're like, wow, this is crazy. Like,
And then the thing is that can affect you because, you and other people who are more serious minded about the
yeah,
fitness, because it becomes too much of a distraction. Even though you go in there and let's say you kill it, or you're normally very disciplined, it's enough that it's like this nagging
oh
thing, or
yeah,
you see in the corner of your eye, and it's like, I can't
yeah,
believe she's doing this. Where's your head? It's not on the mind muscle connection. So it's like they don't realize that these girls are doing the guys a disservice, because of course guys are going to look. I mean, that's normal. You know, it would be abnormal if they didn't. Like, I know guys who actually look down to avoid any potential,
yeah,
but that I don't think they should go that extreme either. But like I said, Mark, if you've got people in the audience or viewers that had specific questions or want to come on, or you've got couples that want to come on or anything like that, let me know. I'm happy to join in.
absolutely. Oh, absolutely, Lesley. I'm, the last time we just kind of have a conversation. This time around, we had a topic, but absolutely, I want this show to certainly evolve into something that using your um, profession to help people, and it's pretty much why I want to do this show, because it helps me too. I always feel better. I tell people this every time I talk to you, just on a show. I feel better afterwards because I'm just like, you just make everything make sense. I'm like, okay, yep, that's and Dave says that too. Dave says that too.
Yeah.
He says, time we have you on here, I feel better. And you're not even trying, So um but yeah, I think that'll wrap it up for this week, Lesley. I'm going on vacation next week. Well, yeah, next week at this point, but I'll probably post this while I'm away. So you guys can leave your comments, let us know if you want us to talk about anything in particular. And yeah, I want this show to get as big as it possibly can. And Lesley is on Iron Therapy on RX Muscle, and she has her own channel. I believe it's Lesley Mental Iron, if I remember right. And
Yeah, we can put it in the description later.
yes, yes. And I didn't do that on the last video. I forgot to, but I will do it on this video. And
Yeah,
please go watch those shows, and hopefully this becomes one of Lesley's main shows. I would love that. So
I'd love that too, Mark.
all right. We will see you next time, Lesley. Thanks again for joining us.
And thanks for having me on, Mark. I really appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely.